Hey everyone, I am going to read from Shandi Boyce's Trey. Prologue. Trey, 6 years earlier. The dark room we're fucking in amplifies the scent of her musky perfume. While flaring my nostrils to suck in the addictive smell of her heated skin against mine, I grip her ass firmer, increasing her moans from breathless whimpers to ear-piercing screams. I pump in and out of her on repeat, acting as if my desire to claim her won't start another war. For years, the Dvořáks have had footholds in this half of Europe. My father's sanction in the United Kingdom is strong, but he doesn't just want to rule his side of the pond, he wants to govern the entire world. After the Berlin and Paris chapters crumbled with death tolls almost as high as ones recorded during the Cold War, Prague was the next natural choice. I'm here to infiltrate their camp, seek out their weaknesses, then helm the raid that will see the streets of Mikulov littered with the bodies of Sahib Dvořák men. Instead, I'm fucking Sahib's daughter in the butler's pantry like she's one of the many whores he's offered me the past 3 months. I was born evil. Hate is buried deep inside me. But the temptation to make India mine was too strong to consider the carrion effect our fuck will cause my birthright. Her oceanic eyes and untouched skin deserved further exploration. Her response to my gall tonight brought brightness into my bleak and miserable existence and has me wondering if there's more to life than victory, murder, and mayhem. I can kill a man without blinking, feel his pulse fade to nothing without an ounce of remorse. But right now, all I'm hearing is my heart in my ears. It's thudding non-stop, drowning out everything and everyone, including the warnings about how disastrously my campaign will end. India doesn't know I'm here to take down her father. She has no clue about the number of men I have killed and how many widows I've made. She also isn't mine. She was betrothed to a man 3 months before I arrived on the scene. They're set to wed next week. That's why I moved as quickly as I have. I only caught the back end of her as she entered the industrial-sized kitchen in the underbelly of her family's compound. Although a dingy dark room isn't an ideal location to authenticate the hidden glances, whispered words and slight touches, India has bombarded me with the past 3 months. It's rare for her to be alone, so I took advantage of the situation. Her nails clawed at me when I pinned her against the first solid surface I could find before I sealed my mouth over hers. It wasn't solid in fear, though. She was also turned on, incapable of denying the sexual chemistry teeming between us. I fucked many women in my almost 22 years. My crew's victories are regularly celebrated with gallons of whiskey and an endless number of whores. However, not even someone as perverted as me anticipated for my kiss to turn into a lust-filled fuck against shelves of food brought in specially for India's wedding to Achim Novak, son of a prominent European aristocratic family. Their nuptials will merge old money with new blood-tainted money if I allow the wedding to proceed as planned. As my teeth gnaw on India's bottom lip, mine shift into a smug smirk. I'm acting as if I have control of the situation, when that's far from the truth. India's virginal blood is smeared on my cock, and her salty tears are flavoring our kiss, yet all I did was seal my mouth over hers. India crept her hand into the waistband of my jeans. She undid my belt and removed my cock from its trunks to line it up with her fragrant-smelling cunt. Just like it was her who slammed down on my rock-hard erection to impale herself with one quick thrust. Don't misread what I'm saying. I'm not a saint by any means. I met the rock of her hips grind for grind, toyed with her clit when she clenches of her greedy cunt almost suffocated my cock, and gripped her tighter and tighter when the fiery way our bodies are connected slicked our skin with sweat. I just didn't instigate the fuck that will switch her from being a real-life princess to a mafia monarch. That was all on India, as will my seed if her cunt doesn't stop sucking at me like it is. After adjusting the tilt of her hips, widening her more for me, I give her the last inch of my cock. She calls out, her moans equally erotic and earth-shattering. Needing her to be quiet before our romp is caught by one of the many guards who walk these corridors at night, I remove my hand from her sweaty hip to her mouth. I can't see shit in the poor conditions, but my hand is so large it swamps the majority of India's face, so it will soon take care of her moans. If you don't want your husband to know the reason you'll have to dye your wedding dress before festivities next week, take it down a notch. My words are grunts jetted by the brutal slams of my cock. The tightness of India's cunt guarantees her father's claims about her once saintliness were true. However, I can't hold back. I love to fuck, and although I've dreamed about this day for weeks, it's above and beyond anything I could have imagined. Not all virginity fucks have to be uncomfortable. You've just got to find a man who knows what he's doing. I doubt softcock Achim would have been up to the task. That's why he fools around with the help, so he doesn't have to worry about anyone's needs bar his own. Or perhaps we should let Achim hear your screams then. Once I'm done claiming every inch of you, we can dye your dress in his blood. I growl when India's pussy tightens around my shaft. She tugs at me, gripping my cock as well as her dislike of her husband to be tightens the noose around his neck. Do you want a war, Duchess? I ask while rubbing my thumb over her clit. 'Cause I'm ready for battle. I was built for carnage, so perhaps we should play the fucker at his own game. My gravelly reassurance I'll fight to the death for her sends India free-falling into ecstasy. She comes apart in my arms, her entire body used to climax. I continue bumping into her, unafraid on the fiery wreck I'm steering us toward. My cock is not sheared, and the sucks of her cunt are greedy, but the only way I'm pulling out without coating the walls of her cunt with my seed is if someone puts a gun to my head. Even then, there are no guarantees. This feels too fucking good to let a threat of death end it. Let them hear you, I say as I drop my hand from her mouth to her hip before doubling the rock of my hips. Let him hear what I do to you and how well the Corbin men fuck. Let the war begin without a single bullet being fired. I'll give you the crown you're craving, Duchess. It just won't be pronged with jewels. India begins to shake like she's about to have another orgasm. You like that, don't you, Duchess? You want to rule a kingdom, not sit in a crystal tower. I pin her closer to the shelving with my hips before returning my hand to her face. I grip her cheeks firm enough she'll feel the sting of my fingers as long as her pussy will feel the burn of taking my cock unprepared. I'll give you what you want. Will give you the entire world after I've taken it all away from you first. As cum erupts from my cock in roaring spurts, I seal my lips over India's. My kiss is as cruel as the way I claimed her, as will be the war our fuck instigated. 1. Trey. Present day. The moans in my dreams sound real, as does the wetness coning my shaft. There's just one difference. I'm not fucking India in a pitch-black butler's pantry as my deranged mind has once a week for the past 6 years. I'm being fucked, from above, by a whore who should know better than to serve herself a generous helping of the monster dick memories of my past instigate. I didn't get my cock pierced solely for the women I fuck without knowing their names or their life history. They are to remind me of the tightness of India's cunt and the way it rippled around me when she moaned into the cool night air. They are for the coolness of my veins when I watched her blood drain from her body and heard the chilliness of her screams. They're so I'll always feel pain even when I'm being pleasured. They are not for dirty little whores who don't understand a drug-fueled gangbang isn't an open invitation to ride my cock any time she feels like it. You good? I ask, gripping her hip firm enough to mark. She's got a nice rack, super flat stomach and an ass with plenty of bounce, but she's like every other whore in this compound. There's nothing unique about her. Not even her scent is one of a kind. The whore, whose name I'll forget within a second of coming, scrapes her teeth over her lower lip before she nods. We've got an audience. She doesn't care. Hell, she looks hopeful one of my brothers will come over and join us like they did last night. They won't, not if they know what's good for them. I'm all for fucking, have been since I was 16. However, this shit doesn't fly with me. If I want to fuck you, you'll be the first to know. If I don't, you sure as fuck don't get to take yourself for a ride on my cock and expect me to be okay with it. The whore releases her lip with a moan before she drops her eyes to mine. They are icy and blue and have my veins cooling even more than her clit grinding against the stainless steel bar in my pubis. She's being super greedy today, acting as if the 6 studs pierced in my shaft aren't enough to get her off, and don't get me started on my length and girth or my mood will grow even more pissy. If she hadn't been run through the middle last night, my cock would be wearing as much blood now as the smears I washed off in the shower after stealing India's virginity. Guaranteed. It feels so good, baby. Is that right? When she nods for the second time, her moans doubling in appreciation of the British accent I've yet to get rid of, even being surrounded by Russians 24/7 for the past 3 years, I twist my lips. I think this would feel better. Since she is thin as a rake, I lift her off my cock without so much of a strain to my pinky. When I stand to my feet to bend her over the couch in the middle of the compound, teeming with ruthless men and half-dressed whores, she perches her ass high in the air, praying I'm about to stretch her puckered hull as well as my cock did her pussy. I'm tempted, but I'm also frustrated, so her begging ass will have to wait. Open wide. If you graze me with your teeth, my hand will get friendly with your cheek. It dawns on me that my threat would be better suited for another whore when she shudders at the prospect of being hit. There are a handful of girls at Clark's who like being slapped around. I usually steer clear of them. Wife beating isn't my kink. Her moan when I ram my cock to the back of her throat pulls my balls in close to my body. Even in my pissy mood, I can admit her tongue dragging over the curved barbell piercings in my shaft feels good. Her dedicated attention to my cock deviates my plans for a few minutes. Not long enough for me to forget my purpose, but long enough I forget there are the eyes of over 24 men on me and my cock. Fortunately for all involved, I don't get stage fright. After another handful of minutes, I remove my cock from the whore's mouth, give it 2 good pumps, then watch cum squirt out of my crown. It lands on her lips, cheek, and covers a good portion of her right eye. Nah, I growl out on a moan when her tongue attempts to lick up the droplets of spawn coating her lips. Her tongue will never reach the murky white substance on her cheek and eye, but when I teach a whore a lesson, I do it the right way. You want to be a whore? So I'm gonna treat you like one. Careful not to trip on my jeans huddled around my ankles, I take a step back before yanking the rigid material up my tattooed thighs. Once I have my still throbbing cock tucked away, I nudge my head to the parking lot at the back of the Clarks. It's late, so you better get home before your daddy gets worried about you. Although shocked at my dismissal, especially since it's barely noon, the blonde dips her chin before her hands dart up to clear away the mess on her face. I repeat louder this time. You're a whore, remember? It's about time your daddy learns of your career aspirations. Smiling, I smear in the blobs of cum that will most likely fall when she stands before shifting on my feet to face August, or 8, as he prefers us to call him. He's a newbie to Nikolai's crew, so he's the best one to free from the bunkers while we wait for an update from Nikolai on where we're going next. He's preparing to send his girl back to Hopeton, where a war is about to begin. If I were smart, I would have done the same thing with India. Alas, back then I was only 22. I had no clue how fucked up this world is, much less the people who think they run it. Follow her home. If she touches her face at all during the commute, revoke her privileges to Clark's. The whore gasps in a sharp breath. It's barely heard over the chuckle of Nikolai's men. Nikolai is my brother in arms. He took me in when my wish to make India mine almost caused my demise. He's Russian, fucking filthy, and hates the man who raised him with every fiber of his being. I want to say I had the same issues with my father. Regretfully, it was the respect I had for him that got him killed. Have you ever thought about who you choose if forced to pick between the woman who made you realize you had a heart in your chest and the man who gave you life?